Hi, I'm Dee, creator of the Magic Lab, a highly rated shop on Etsy where I create self-empowerment tools for the modern mystic. On this channel, I share the real hands-on practices of magic, energy work, and intentional living. You'll find a wide range of approaches to spell work in the craft, not just the theory, but the practical methods that transform intention, thought, and emotion into real results. Whether you're just curious, starting out, or have years of experience, the Magic Lab is a space for learning, experimenting, and exploring the many paths that magic can take. Today's video is part of the Anatomy of a Spell series, and today I'm going to be discussing intention. Before I start, I wanted to provide a definition of the word intention for the purpose of this video. Although this is a channel that has a particular focus on spiritual and metaphysical topics, in this video, I am using the word intention in a very broad way. I'll be using it in a way that can apply to anybody that's listening. The definition of setting an intention is the act of making a commitment to apply clear, deliberate focus of your thoughts, energy, and will towards a desired outcome. That's it. It's defining a desired outcome and then committing to it. Now, whether you reach that outcome through casting spells, ritual work, prayer, spirituality, or simply by breaking out your planner and just doing a step-by-step general planning, that part's up to you. And how you prefer to arrive at that outcome, it varies per person, and that's not the subject of today's video. Today's video will be about simply defining the intention, defining the outcome that you seek. Regardless of the type of intention, whether it's in your personal life, whether it is job or career related, whether it's money related, whether it's for personal development, whether it's something that you want to see happen in the world, greater change, anything, just as long as it's an outcome that you seek. So you may be asking yourself, okay, well, why does this need an entire video? If I know what I want, then I've already set the intention and it's pretty straightforward, right? Well, not exactly. Setting an intention or a desired outcome is more than simply pulling your wants out of thin air. If you don't do a minimum level of analysis on it, then you don't really understand the layers of what you're asking for. And if you don't understand the layers of what you're asking for, then you're setting a shallow intention. An intention cannot be meaningful if you don't truly know what you're asking for. And if you don't know what you're asking for, how can you or your energy system be empowered to receive it? So I just wanted to preface, that's what we're going to be covering in today's video, the art of setting an intention and doing it in a meaningful way. I will go over the types of intentions that can be set, the psychology behind them, how to get to the root of what you really want out of it, and the best practices for setting intentions that manifest more easily. So let's get into it. All right, so to start off, we are going to cover the types of intentions that can be set. We have intentions that are focused on your inner world or yourself. Now, these are intentions that are aimed at personal growth or transformation. These are about changing something within yourself or your emotional state. Some examples of spell work that results from self-focused intention setting would include things like confidence spells, shadow work, healing, or beauty spells. Again, you're focusing on self-development or changing something about yourself or your emotional state. Another type of intention that can be set would be something focused on the external environment. These types of intentions aim to bring about a change within the environment around you. Some examples of spell work that would result from an other or externally focused intention would include things like road opener spells, where you want the world around you to open itself up to you or to be receptive to your needs or your desires. Breakup spells, attraction spells, binding spells, which are focused on bringing about a change in conditions with somebody other than yourself. So again, trying to bring about a change in the environment or somebody outside of yourself. You can set positive or negative intentions. Now, spells that bring about harm or undesirable outcomes are often labeled as quote-unquote negative. Some traditions also view any spell that interferes with another person's free will as negative or unethical. So that's what I mean when I say positive versus negative. Now, on this channel, I approach all practices from a very neutral standpoint. I don't pass judgment. But I do encourage you to reflect on your own values. And if you are setting an intention that feels ethically conflicting to you, maybe consider reframing it in a way that better aligns with your personal code, or just not do it at all. So if you do believe in the positive versus negative when it comes to spell work or setting an intention, be aware of that and make sure you know which side your intention sets on so that there's no ethical conflict within you. You can set intentions to bring about a specific event. These intentions aim to bring about a concrete and definable result in the form of an event, such as landing a new job, meeting a soulmate, winning a court case, winning the lottery, or even ending somebody's relationship. You can also think of intention setting as solo versus collective. Most intentions are set by the individual, especially in personal goal setting, personal spell work. However, intentions can also be created and reinforced by groups, such as covens, lodges, or secret societies. Even a church group coming together to pray for someone or for a particular outcome can be seen as a form of collective intention, where there's shared focus and energy that is being directed towards manifesting a result. It's really all the same thing. So these are some of the main ways that intentions can take shape, whether they are inward or outward, positive or negative, specific or broad, personal or collective. Understanding and being aware of these categories helps you to recognize what kind of change that you're really aiming for, which then sets the stage for the next piece that we'll be looking at, which is the scale of your intention. So for the scale of the intention, when you are setting an intention, it is important to consider the scale because that will shape how you approach bringing it into reality. So first, we have small/fast. These are short-term intentions with a very quick turnaround time, usually within days or weeks. Examples of this would include you wanting to see success in a job interview, going on a good date, receiving a phone call from somebody, protection for a specific event, or a quick boost of luck. Next, we have the medium scale. These intentions take a little bit more time to build and unfold. They need some time to marinate. And these also require some patience as your circumstances align for things to happen. So some of these examples would include finding love. Genuine love relationships develop over time. You can't realistically expect that within a couple of weeks. Same thing with landing a new job. That is also a process that can take months. Fertility, wanting it to build a family. Those are things that are going to take some time to get going. Those are just a few examples of intentions that work on the medium scale. And then on the larger scale, we have intentions that focus on the long term, intentions that focus on recurring outcomes that continue over an extended period of time or even your full lifetime. So examples of these might include cultivating lasting long-term happiness, building sustained wealth or generational wealth, or receiving long-term lifetime protection. Understanding the scale of your intention helps you to set realistic expectations for how and when results might show up. A small, quick turnaround intention may only need a single focused action, while medium and larger intentions often require patience, repeated effort, or layered practices over time. So when you're setting your intentions, be aware of this and match the scale to the amount of energy, focus, and commitment that you're ready to put in. And this helps keep your work grounded and also increases the chances of success. So on that note, do you need to set an intention or can you just do it? If something comes very naturally and instinctively to you, you might not need the formality of setting an intention. But if it doesn't come easily to you, if it feels like something that requires more clarity or focus, then formally setting an intention does help. It makes things feel more official, it shifts your mindset, and it ensures that because you've taken the time to define it, you will treat it more seriously on both a conscious and subconscious level. So generally, if your first thought is that you need to, quote unquote, set the intention, then I'd say that automatically that means that your brain is already there in that mode that it needs to be in, and that you need to give it space and to come into being. And then on the contrary, if it just feels like something that you can just easily bring into fruition without needing to formally set that intention, then go ahead and allow that to happen. All right, next up, we are going to talk about the emotion behind the intention and go a little bit deeper into that. So notice how you instinctively feel when you define it. Do you feel drawn towards it, or do you feel a sense of dread? Are you feeling fear, anxiety, doubt? Do you feel a sense of desperation about it, or does it make you feel a sense of peace? So pay attention to the feelings that just thinking about the intention makes you feel. This will give you key clues about the layers behind your intention and the ultimate source of your intention, which we're going to talk about next. So for the layers of intention, all intentions ultimately have a deep meaning, but unless you do some basic analysis on why you want what you want, then its meaning is only going to be surface level to you being the intention setter, which is not an empowered position to be in when you're setting this intention. If you don't know where it's coming from, if you yourself don't understand the deeper meaning behind it, then you are setting a shallow intention. And what is the point in that? The deeper meaning of your intention is unlocked once you analyze the source of it. So here we're going to talk about how to analyze the source of your intention. So here I have some examples, and see if any of these ring a bell for you. Just ask yourself these questions as I'm reading these off. Unmet needs. Now, many intentions arise from needs in your life that aren't being fulfilled. So ask yourself, what is this intention trying to address? What need is it, and why is it necessary, or is it necessary? Ego. Sometimes intentions are driven by a desire to protect, repair, or bolster your ego. Recognizing this can help you see whether your motivation is self-serving or if it's constructive. Pressure. Are you feeling pressure from someone or in an area of your life? This could be peer pressure, wanting to fit in, social obligation. Try and identify if this pressure is productive, because not all pressure is bad pressure. But make that distinction. Is this productive pressure, or is this something that I actually don't really want? The source of some intentions may be fear. Fear is a very common motivator, especially in protective or baneful workings. Understanding how fear influences your intention can help you work with it consciously. Other emotions that may be driving an intention might be anger or envy. Emotions such as these are very powerful drivers in life, and I'm not saying that negative emotions are never productive. They definitely can be productive. Just pay attention to the deeper layers behind it and be aware of what's driving your intention. There may be a deep spiritual drive that is the source of your intention. This could arise from a higher calling, ancestral guidance, or a subconscious pull. You might feel a gut instinct or just a thirst for something greater, or a deep knowing that this is the path that you're meant to follow. So, to sum up, understanding the source of your intention is how you give it meaning. Take time to reflect on what's really driving your desire. Ask yourself why this intention matters to you and what you hope to achieve on a deeper level. And try and be honest about any emotions or pressures that are influencing it. It's self-reflection. It's difficult. It can be painful, and there can be an instinct to shut down those difficult questions when they arise, but really do try to do the work just so you understand exactly where it's coming from. And overall, I think just beyond getting what we want out of life, ultimately we want to become better people. We want to grow as people. We want to rise to the occasion and meet our intentions where they're at, right? And this is one way to do that. All right, so now I'm going to talk about the pressure to be practical, which is definitely something I myself struggle with a lot when it comes to intention and goal setting. So I'd say, other than asking for things that are just straight up impossible, try to release this pressure to be practical. By that, I mean, release the pressure to only think within your existing reality and being afraid to stretch yourself out of the bounds of what you see in your day-to-day life. And I know this is not easy, especially we're living in an age where there's an increased competition for everything. There's increased saturation. There is decreased upward mobility. So I understand that, the pressure to be practical comes from a place of self-preservation. But the one thing that we have absolutely zero limits on are our thoughts and our emotions. So I try to think of it like this. Think of it like having access to a free money tree. So all of these thoughts of the most wonderful, wild, amazing outcomes possible, those thoughts are completely free. They are unlimited. So if these thoughts and intentions are unlimited and absolutely free, then why would you be afraid to spend as many of them as you possibly can on the most amazing outcomes that you can dream up? Your thoughts, your dream, your imagination, there's no limit on that. And so you don't have to have scarcity thinking when it comes to that area of life. This is definitely something that takes some practice, and I'm working on it right now myself. But start small. Take it step by step. You don't have to go from 0 to 100, but try and stretch the limits of your thinking, the limits of your imagination just a little bit outside of where you are right now. And once that becomes more comfortable to you to accept, stretch it out a little bit further. And this is actually surprisingly uncomfortable. And the first time I started doing this, I was actually surprised by the amount of negative emotions that I immediately felt when I tried to imagine really amazing outcomes for myself. I thought it would feel great. And in fact, I would be filled with this flood of negative emotions. And when I thought about why that was, I realized that there was a lot of fear and doubt, and like it just didn't belong to me when it came to thinking of a really amazing future for myself. And I think that's the case for a lot of people. It can be very painful to think about a future that you think doesn't belong to you or that you think you're never going to have. And so it's better to just keep your brain or your imagination within the confines of what feels realistic, which is whatever is happening in the here and now. But like I said, your imagination, your thoughts, your dreams, your hopes, your goals, they're unlimited and they are completely free. And so if you can get used to the idea of spending those like coins just for fun, for no reason at all, and just get used to it. Start small and then build up as you get more comfortable. But that's really what we're trying to work towards, is not being afraid to be impractical and dream big. But it's okay if it feels uncomfortable at first. It just means you've got work to do. So next up, we're going to talk about pitfalls. These are common behaviors and patterns that can work against the intentions that you're trying to set. Being aware of these can help you navigate and correct them before putting energy into your intention. We have self-sabotage. This is very common. This happens when your actions unconsciously work against your goals. You might be pushing away opportunities or acting in ways that contradict your intention. So for example, you might intend to find a new job, but then you consistently avoid networking, or you procrastinate on applications, or you receive opportunities, but you dismiss them for one reason or another. You may want to build your social circle or find a romantic partner, but then if the only place that you go outside of work is home, how is that realistically going to happen? You may be focused on physical self-improvement, but then you are eating way above your calorie limit and drinking a lot of alcohol and feeding yourself things that don't make you feel good. So again, a lot of these are very unconscious patterns. So be aware of it and reflect and understand, take ownership when you are actively working against what you want. And on that note, maybe you don't actually want it, which can show up as self-sabotage. On the surface, it might feel compelling, but upon deeper analysis, you might realize that it doesn't really actually reflect what you truly want and that you're doing it for reasons other than what you yourself actually want. When you recognize this, then you can go ahead and just prevent all of the wasted energy because there's no point in committing to something that you don't actually really genuinely want. Another pitfall would be having a very vague intention. Now, if you have not done the deeper level analysis that I've talked about earlier in this video, then what you're going to probably be left with is something that's very vague. If you don't have clarity on what you're asking for, then it's hard for your energy system to deliver that to you if you yourself don't even know what you want or why you want it. So make sure that it's crystal clear by doing the analysis that we talk about in this video. And then in the end, make sure that you can sum it up in just a clean sentence. Another pitfall is overthinking. On one hand, when you do set the intention, you do kind of want to lean into it and make sure your life is supporting that intention. But then on the other hand, Dwelling on it too much can create a sense of rigidity and also create a mental block. So there is a bit of a fine line to be walked between leaning into it, but then also kind of relaxing into it and giving it space to breathe and having some sense of like calm confidence that things are just going to go the way that they need to go, while also moving towards it productively, if that makes sense. Another pitfall would be external dependence. Make sure that you are actually in control of the intention that you're setting, meaning it does not rely on entirely on somebody else's actions and decisions, and there's no steps that you yourself can take to make that a reality. Some common examples of this might be hoping to start a relationship with a very specific person instead of simply just being open to a particular type of person that you want in your life. Another example would be wanting somebody else to change their behavior to suit your needs. You can't change anybody's behavior. It's up to them to change that. So that's something that you would want to reframe instead of focusing that intention on somebody else making that change on your behalf. Another pitfall would be impatience or giving up too soon. And this is where understanding the scale of your intention comes into play. Know whether this is something that can realistically be done in a quick turnaround time, and if so, how? Or is this something that's going to require a long-term, more chronic effort? Know upfront what a realistic time frame is. If you expect instant results for something that's supposed to take years, then, of course you're going to end up frustrated and potentially abandon it. All right, next up, I'm going to talk about some tips to align your life to your intention. You want to make sure that you're actually living in a way that supports it. So I'm going to give you a couple of alignment tips to make sure that your actions, your thoughts, and your energy are working with your intention and not against it. First, you want to set the tone. So the way that you start your morning shapes your whole day. This could include journaling, short meditation, morning pages, or just sitting quietly for a moment. But think of it like tuning your energy before you head out into the world. You're also going to want to shift your thoughts. So pay attention to your thought patterns. We all fall into negative thought spirals, but try to catch them when you can. And if you know what usually trips you up, then plan for that in advance. And when that happens, interrupt the pattern and redirect it towards something that supports your intention. Carrying symbols or reminders can also be helpful, especially if you've set an intention that's really going to involve you shifting your lifestyle in a way that you haven't done before. So to avoid slipping back into your old habits, just have a little bit of a reminder around you. This could be a sticky note on your fridge. It might be a symbol on your desk. It might be something that you wear or something that you put around your doorknob. So when you're leaving your house, you see the thing on the doorknob and then it reminds you, oh yeah, just got to shift my thoughts and the way I'm living my life to support this intention that I set. Another thing to align your life to your intentions is to take small actions daily. Now, I am not in the camp that you can set an intention and then do absolutely nothing because the universe is just going to make it all happen for you. I'm personally somebody that believes that, okay, you don't want to lean too hard into it because at some point you're going to push things away from you. You want to have a sense of confidence that things are going to be realized, but you do need to take ownership. We don't want completely magical thinking here. So I would say do one small thing every day that supports your goal. And big changes happen through consistency. This is something that I've had and am learning myself, that especially when we have these huge goals, it can be very overwhelming. But if you think of it as layering a crepe cake, those cakes that are made of those very, very thin cakes, they're thin crepes, and they're about, 4 inches tall, and they're beautiful, but they're made through one very, very thin layer at a time. And making a crepe is the easiest thing in the world, right? So break down your intentions into the fine level details on think about how you can layer onto your life in very small pieces to then, a year from now, look back and see that you've built something amazing. So you do have to put something into it. It's not all just going to come to you. Another one would be to track your language. So similar to paying attention to our thoughts, pay attention to how we speak about things. So instead of saying, I don't want to be broke, you say, I'm building financial stability. So move away from fear-based speech and speak in a more empowered, controlled way. Also, make sure to celebrate small wins. Even a little bit of progress is still progress. Acknowledge that, celebrate it. It keeps you motivated and it reminds you that things are moving forward step by step. Overall alignment, it's not about perfection. It's not about you pushing super heavily towards making this intention a reality. It's just about making your life as optimal as possible so that your intention has room to come into being. So start with where you are, start with what you have, and just allow your daily life to reflect the future that you're creating. So that wraps up this deep dive into intention, which is, again, the foundational step in magic, energy work, goal setting, and intentional living. Remember that setting an intention is not just about stating what you want. It's about understanding why you want it, clarifying it, aligning it emotionally and mentally, and being aware of how we can sabotage our own success. So use what resonates from today's video to explore your own intentions, to experiment, and to refine your practice. If you would like to see everything that I presented today visually, to be able to print it out and to read it over yourself, I have a link in the description to a blog post that basically summarizes everything that I've talked about here today. If you found this video helpful, I would really appreciate a like, subscribe. I will be doing more topics in this Anatomy of a Spell series, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do next, but overall, if you have any other ideas or things that you'd like me to talk about, please comment in the box below. If you have any questions, any comments, you're welcome to reach out to me. I have my contact information as well in the description. Thank you for watching. I know time is precious, time is valuable, and I truly appreciate that you've chosen to spend it here with me. And if you can leave this video with one message, I would just say, remember, your intentions are powerful. Understand them, clarify them, align with them, and watch the possibilities unfold.